Yes, welcome back. This is F for Rap Critic. I'm your boy Malik 16, and we ain't going all out, but we going all in on this hip hop breakdown review of this classic album. We're still talking about Murda Music by Mobb Deep. I'm joined by my special guest, Silenca Ambition. This is family right here. This is my cousin from New York, and it's a very New York kind of review situation. Yeah, the accent comes out more when I'm around my fam, man. This is category 2, where we go over the rap performance on this particular album, Murda Music by Mobb Deep. And the first dimension in category 2 that we talk about is dimension 1, personality and charisma. That's the element that keeps somebody listening. Everybody can rap, but not everybody can hold your attention for a whole album. So what is it that Havoc and Prodigy give us on this album that makes us want to keep listening?
Man, Prodigy, super cocky. And the funny thing about these dudes, like if you never seen them, you would think they was giants.
Yes.
They are super small, they short dudes.
Yeah.
But they talk the toughest talk ever.
And that's wild. Coming from me and Matt, we are not tall guys. I'm sure I've been told Mobb Deep is shorter than me, and
yeah, they small dudes, bro. But, and that's the thing, to be able to sell that is amazing to me.
Yeah,
like charisma and all that, they are fire all day. They're selling stuff. You would think they was Diesel.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's the perfect complement and contrast. Like they've always worked because Havoc was cool being the less outspoken one, but Prodigy is so outspoken in a calm way. It's not something you're seeing in hip hop, and I think that's how, I mentioned this in my Hell on Earth review. That's how Prodigy got up there on those lists in the 90s with the top tier rappers. It's because he created a lane that didn't exist. It's calm, crazy talk. It's like, what? You're gonna say this with a deadpan position and say the most descriptive, brazen stuff with a straight face, and you can hear it. It's like you can hear the intention. I think part of them being vets in the game at this point, just how I mentioned in category 1, that they earned the right to brag and boast and puff their chest out a little bit more without explaining it, is they're now in a position to give you a little bit of vulnerability. So like when you get lines like we mentioned, I spent too many nights sniffing coke, get it right, or I think of the hook on Where Your Heart At. Like those are the kind of sentiments that make you really say, okay, this is somebody that's coming from a different space. There's a reason why he's talking so crazy. He's like, where's your heart at? You ever lost somebody you love? Have you ever done this? Then don't talk to me until you've done that. Even Havoc on I Can't F With It. He's like, don't talk until you get a record deal. I see you when you get a record deal. Like,
right.
There's a mix here on this album of being able to boast now a little harder from an industry standpoint. Before they were always boasting streetwise, but now they're able to boast, like, yeah, we're vets in the game. Get a record deal first before you try to talk to me. But also, I can be a little bit more vulnerable now. Y'all know my pedigree, so I can cry on the track. I'm not gonna cry on the track, but I can tell you that I cried. Right?
Definitely.
I can tell you I took an L. So those things endear you to who they are, and I think, more than anything, like you pointed out, Prodigy, the calm, crazy talk. That's how I'm gonna coin it. Calm, crazy talk.
Calm, crazy is perfect.
So you said you're giving a 5 for the personality and charisma? 5
for the personality, bro.
Yeah. I think what you said in category 1 holds true for a lot of people. They don't go to Mobb Deep they go to them for the ignorance. It's like, you got to know what you're getting into when you get in. Exactly. But I'm thinking even a new listener would be pulled in a little bit. I'm thinking, my wife, she's from the West Coast. She heard me playing this. I don't think she got into it, but she knows Quiet Storm. She's like, she can.
Yeah, I don't know if my girl mess with Mobb Deep either, but I'm pretty sure she knows Quiet Storm. Sure.
Yeah, see, that's the test. It's like, if they can listen through one song, then clearly there's something to it. Yeah. Even if they only listening for Kim's part, it's like, you can tolerate it?
I should have played it for her. I should have seen what she said before I got on this.
Yeah, I mean, she raised the eyebrow with some of the lines on It's Mine, but that was from Nas. Nas was doing the most on that song. All right, so Dimension 2, is the suspension of disbelief versus the believability. So this is process of elimination. Is this a suspension of disbelief album? Mobb Deep never asks you to take this trip with them as they go into character. So I'm gonna say no, it's not suspension of disbelief. Like Slim Shady asks you to put reality aside and, you know, understand he's the Slim Shady character for this album.
Right.
Mob is not doing that. They're like, no, this is us. So with that, the question becomes, how much do they make us believe them on this album?
I'm completely sold on Mobb Deep. I bought in. I heard the stories. I was outside. My OGs came back to the block talking about with Mobb Deep and them, how they was rolling. They was deep. I believed it. I was
crazy.
going through the same project life that they was talking about in Queensbridge. I was on the soil at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm completely bought in. It's a 5 for me.
Got you. Yeah, I think about tracks like Streets Raise Me. They're trying to come from some kind of substance angle. He's talking about things that go on in project life. They say like somebody just got killed on the rooftop, or, you know, shorty, just something like that. I'm like, man, this is all the stories that my cousins tell me, and stuff that we've heard and seen. So you were outside a little bit more than me, because at that time, and you were more just tapped in and tuned in. I think you just know more. I'd probably be like, huh? So, but I will say this is probably around the time I started hearing stories about robberies. But for every robbery story I've ever heard of, like Mobb Deep getting checked, I've always heard that they were forced on the streets and in the industry. Like they roll deep, they rob too, they get in the fight.
And that's the thing. Like people have this superhero imagination of these rappers. Like if you really in the streets, stuff gonna happen to you too.
Yeah.
It's you not gonna do all of the pushing around.
Right.
You gonna get caught too.
Yeah.
That's how you know you really in the streets. Street niggas take L's too, all the time.
Yeah. And one thing I give Mobb, they always allude to the possibility of that. It's like it balances the crazy talk. It's like, yeah, I know I could get got, or I took that L, but I'll be right back. Like they always say so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It does have a believability. Also, because they're not. This is why I say they didn't really fit in the gangster rap bag, because they were never telling kingpin drug dealer stories. It was always about just beefing with you, like fighting you and getting you got, but never like I run the city and I got, you know, it's just like you don't really want to mess with our clique. You don't want drama with us. Just step, kid. So, all right, you giving this a 5 on believability?
I'm giving it a 5, man. I ain't believe that movie though. That movie, I ain't like that movie.
Oh yeah, that movie. That's a Prodigy thing. Yo, I would love to hear in the comments what y'all think on this dimension in particular. There's always been mixed reviews. When we did our plates and crates back when we used to do live shows, we did the Mobb Deep, and it was around the time they were throwing the Prodigy mural up, and they kept defacing it like 3 times before they had to take it down. So I know this is always a hot topic when it comes to Mobb Deep, how real they were. But I implore you all to read that My Infamous Life book by Prodigy. You'll at least learn something from his perspective. All right. Takes us to Dimension 3, the delivery and the use of voice.
One of the best rap voices ever too.
How are they using their voice on this album?
Like every other album, aggressive. You know what I mean? Prodigy is definitely aggressive, but like you said, in that monotone voice, you know what I mean? It makes it even worse. Like,
you
know what I'm saying? Like that passive aggressive. You know, like damn, bro, I ain't fucking with him. Let me let him rock. You know what I'm saying? Like he giving you a warning, like, yo, don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Havoc though. Havoc seemed like he was more of the cool dude to hang out with.
Right.
You know what I mean? This was around the time, like I did a little research on him, around the time we had a lot of drinking problems at this time too.
I was wondering if we were going to bring that up.
Yeah, he had a lot of drinking problems. So I take him as probably like, he was a chill drinker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He might have been out of control with the drinking, but he was like a chill, laid back, probably irresponsible at the same time.
Yeah, they said he was wilding, crashing cars, peeing on LL Cool J studio equipment. But it won't come across that he plays the straight lace. There's a menace to his voice. That's what I mean. They, like you said, they both have like a aggression without having to do all that Onyx DMX inflection to their voice. It's just that their rap voice is similar to their talk voice, and it matches the beats well. They do a good job of projecting on songs that need more projection. So I think of a song like Spread Love, one of my favorite tracks on there. Prodigy's doing a little bit more open mouth. Used to spread love, not war. Cause my, like death kills whole families, as opposed to Quiet Stories. It's the real, right. More subdued. Even Let a Hoe Be a Hoe, the fact that Havoc is like cursing on the hook and he's saying it with like passion. He's like, so yeah, compare that to USA I Hate Them, right? Prodigy's barely awake for that. This goes down to my then. They know when to keep it kind of like toned down and when to amp it up a little bit more. Adrenaline, that hook is real monotone. Cars, crows, adrenaline. But other songs, they turn it up. So there is not much to that other than that. It's just them projecting more or not projecting. They don't do a lot of ad-libs. They don't do doubles and stacking their vocals. They don't sing. None of that. So
were they the first ones that you heard like talking in the ad-lib? They be like, pow, pow.
Maybe.
That's my man.
Maybe, yeah, because they don't, I guess that is their version of like animated ad-libs, right? But it's adding the menace. It's everything is always to add intimidation.
Exactly.
It's never like the extra ad-libs. It's just like,
right.
That's the sound of the knife, That's the sound of the knife. So what you giving this for delivery? Because they don't do too much and it's just their natural voices, is that the cheat code? Like, do they get a 5 for that, or is somewhere else?
I don't even know if like their delivery is unique. You know what I'm saying? It's like a niche. It's kind of hard. I'm gonna give them a 4.5 because it's what I expect. Like, I wasn't disappointed. I came here for that and I got it. You know what I mean? But I never really thought Mobb Deep had the best delivery when it came to raps. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because there's moments where they spare the timing just for the rhyme, and we'll talk about it more in the next dimension. So that makes sense to me. It's hard, right? It's hard to like that 0.5. I'd say that 4.5. I imagine you're also giving them for just knowing, right? Knowing how to use the voice is important, man. We've heard a lot of rappers on beats they had no business on.
That's a fact. Knowing
how to stay in your groove. So Dimension 4 is the flow. All right. Prodigy don't always rhyme, man. There's something about being able to talk rap and still hold our attention. And some rhyming a word that doesn't necessarily rhyme, but it almost gets away with it. Like it's Havoc does it, but Prodigy may do it for a longer stretch.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know where to go with this, because is it genius or is it just being lazy?
It's lazy. I think so the end of Where Your Heart At, right, where Havoc comes in and it sounds like he didn't finish his verse, or he added an extra line that he didn't need to add, right? So he said, matter of fact, losing her, and then it just like fades off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, yo, you could have done the timing a little bit better where that all would have lined up and you could have dropped the mic on it, but it was just weird. And there's a couple songs, man. I think Adrenaline might be the song I'm thinking about, where Prodigy does not rhyme at all for like 2 bars. So,
but he be doing that sometimes though. So I don't know if it's be intentional or is it lazy? Like, but what I will say, like, Survival of the Fittest, it seems so intentional how he comes on that record. And he don't rhyme for a while on that record.
It's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide. It's like 4 bars with no raps.
So I don't know. And I love that verse. That verse is so fire to me.
Damn, you better have the right gear ready. Like, there's like one or two words that rhyme in weird places, but not like, this is my bar, this is my bar, this is, yeah, that's crazy. It's spoken word.
It's spoken word.
Oh, man.
But I think I'm going to lean towards what you said, though. It's lazy. That just seemed raw. Survival of the Fittest just seemed raw. Like, he was just raw. A lot I see what you mean on these other records, though. Like, it do seem kind of lazy. It comes out of nowhere, and it's not even...
Yeah, because we know what they could do. Like I said, when you listen to America's Nightmare, there's so many deliberate... They are rapping in patterns. Like, every song has a definitive pattern. They switch it up, and there's very few songs where they're doing what they do here. So it's because I know what they can do when they are focused. It's like, yeah, they were getting high. They were just with their crew. Yeah. That's the other thing. When you just around your crew, everything's going to be good.
That's a fact, especially when you high and you drinking.
So there's a couple things they do. Spread Love is one of the only songs where they go back and forth, line for line, and it's always beautiful to hear that. You don't hear Mobb Deep do that a lot, so that was great. Right. The beginning of that song, they go in line for line. They don't really rhyme on that one. They don't really rhyme on there on a couple of those lines, but it's like, here you go, my turn, my turn. They do an unorthodox pattern with the song with 8 Ball. Yeah, it's not like here's my verse, here's your verse, here's 8 Ball's verse. They do like 4, 4, 4, then they do like 8, 8, and then they all share the hook. So it's cool. It switches it up, takes you out that monotonous groove. Havoc seems like he stepped up the flow pattern on the Can't F with his song, and on It's Mine. I don't know.
He showed out on It's Mine.
It's Mine. He might have had one of the stronger verses.
Yeah,
right?
He did. He showed out on that for sure.
Yeah, even the way he chose to start that, right? It's like a ... for the first line. Like, it's like they really choose some interesting structures. And again, I don't know if a lot of that is deliberate in the structures that they're choosing, but there is enough variety of flows on the album where you're like, okay, they can rap, right? When you listen to the original Quiet Storm, Prodigy's not really rapping to the beat. He's just rapping. Think about it. Especially when you get to that third verse. It's just talk over a dope beat.
He was starting to veer off into that, unfortunately. Yeah. That was like the beginning of it. You know what I'm saying? When he just started talking a lot.
Shoot, now that I think about it, even on the remix, I can never get enough of it. That's to boost my adrenaline. I need that. Like, it ain't really riding the beat.
It's not, and he ain't really talking about nothing either on that.
Yeah, I think the most flow you're gonna get out of Prodigy, where it's like, oh, him and the beat are one, are gonna be illustrious and maybe the faster beats on there, like going all out.
It seemed like the faster beats make him like, no, he can't talk. You know what I'm saying?
Like, you gotta do something else. Yeah. All right, what we giving the flow on a scale from 1 to 5?
Flow, 4, I guess. 3.5, 4. I give it a 3.5.
Yeah, because if you say 4, you're putting them up there with the
I give it a 3.5.
Fair enough. All right, that takes us to Dimension 5, the wordplay and bar intent. All right, now this is about what's actually said on here. When I think about wordplay, they're not word flippers. Every now and then Prodigy is going to say something clever. Prodigy reminds me of Guru, where he'll say something real basic and it's something real ill right afterwards. And it's like, how could you be the same person? It's effort. That's what it is. Description is their biggest tool. It's imagery, description. And there's some slickness. So we talk about Prodigy having crazy, calm, crazy talk. There's slickness in it. On Spread Love, he says, I need 93,000 for 16 bars. Like, come through the scene glowing like black light on white clothing. That's about the extent of cleverness you're going to get out of Prodigy. The belt buckle thing, That's hella descriptive. You got to be thinking different to do that. You know, there's simile, but there's similes basic. Like on Adrenaline, what Project said, we stand out like a terrorist. I'm like, okay, stand out like a terrorist. Yeah, I mean, Project's gonna say if it's beef, poke him with a fork and make sure that he's
done well.
Make sure he's done well, right? That's the extent of cleverness. Escort niggas to their grave.
Yeah.
Okay, that's imagery. You could have just said, "I'll bury you," but you put thought into the way you're saying it, but just not enough thought for it to be like, oh, I don't think Mobb has ever been. Yeah, Mobb's not a group that you're like, rewind that. Let me hear what he said, unless it's for how crazy he was talking. Like the song they had with 50 Cent where he was talking about, you know, beating up God. Like that's, you might rewind that and be like, yo, did he say what I just think he said? But like
the gall, you know what I mean?
The gall, the audacity.
Yeah, the audacity.
Yeah. Havoc says regardless twice in like the same 4-bar verse on USA I Hate Them. So there's a fair amount of lazy writing, but they make up for it with the descriptiveness that is ear catching. So then we think about the guests, right? You got Nas. It's funny because delivery wise, it seemed like Nas was trying to go for the verse, the standout verse on that song. And I think a lot of people may think he did have the standout verse. I remember him towards the end, he has a flow that he's trying to ride. Everything's rhyming with bastard. So it's bastard, but then he breaks the flow and goes somewhere else. And then at the end, he picks it back up where he's like, it's just ashes. You don't need no suit, no tie, no funeral, and no casket. So,
right.
I mean, it's memorable. I think, you think Nas had to stand out on there, or are we still giving that to Havoc?
It's close. It's close. I just like how Havoc jumped on that track, man.
Yeah.
I think he set it off the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the Nas verse. I might have to give it to Havoc though, cause he was going on that.
What do you say? It's the life that I live. It's the son that it gave me. The mommy and the pops that raised me. The moms who love me and the pops that raised me.
I think he was connecting and all that, all through the run. He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing.
He was. He was. Focus Havoc is dangerous, and it is showcased later in their career. But because Nas's imagery, right? I always remember the Halle Berry blowing a kiss at the barbershop.
Yeah, like the lines are memorable. You know,
it's very Ghostface. That's a very Ghostface type of line because it's random as hell. It's like, what?
Yeah. Silk shirts on my chest show with a flirt. Like you had the Barbra Streisand concert, okay?
Right. He's wilding. He's reaching, but you know he's know how to leave anything in 60 seconds. Like he's still coming out of his
flee with the murder weapon.
Yeah, he's still in this Escobar season, but trying to step into his commercial. Escobar is part of that commercial identity. So
definitely.
Speaking of Ghostface, Raekwon's verse, you didn't even remember he's on it, so I guess it's not that memorable. But flow-wise, it holds up. Like he's flowing. It reminds me of his feature on Skew It on the Barbie on Outkast's album the year before. It's like, oh, it does what it needs to do. Are you looking for Raekwon to drop lines? No.
Raekwon is one of those guys where I really still don't fully understand why I love him so much. Like,
that makes sense.
I really don't understand it.
I think he's a personality rapper. He's a personality and voice rapper, and because his flow is easy to listen to, it gets on. And just word choice, right? The words don't even have to make a lot of sense. It's just deliver this gold white, flex white gold tarantula. It's like nobody else is saying it, right? So it's like if we ran him through the rap analysis, he'd probably come up low, but because nostalgia and because he holds a special place, he's gonna be high.
He's a good beat picker too.
Yes. Well, for the most part.
Right. Back in the day, yes.
Yeah. C's, like you said, C's does his thing. There's some lines on his verse. I want to give Havoc.
I'd rather die fucking raw. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That was wild to me, but you know.
That is wild, especially for '99. That's one of those timeless wild lines, right?
Right.
I want to give Havoc his props because on another verse where he shines on is Going All Out. his whole verse, he's just saying go all out about different things. He's like, I'm going out like a dun, going out like a dun. He sticks to the program. Like I said, Focus Havoc outshines Prodigy sometimes.
He got more wordplay than Prodigy.
Yes, when he's focused, that's that Gemini brain. But of course, Cormega, the line, Gore-Tex and the Deaf, I be rocking ice with special effects.
That was fire.
That's a New York line. Me and you both, when we first heard that, we both reacted to that line in particular. Cormega's another one.
Special effects, yeah, that's crazy.
Cormega's another one. Not the best flower. You know, he's not staying on that beat. He's not riding it. But the lines that stand out. He and Prodigy are in the same class, because Prodigy, the way he starts that verse, me and you both laughed at it. My rhymes taste good in my mouth like Deer Park. Like, but it's a bar. For some reason, that's a bar. If anybody else would have said that, it would have sounded stupid. But you got the most deadpan voice starting a song off with that line. You're like, okay. Ghost could have got away with it too. Hey, yo, my rhymes taste good in my mouth like Deer Park. That would have worked too. But, so yeah, the wordplay is there. I mean, a lot of the performances from the guests help it where it needs to. Like I said, there's members of Infamous Mobb that has some lines in there. Their presence is good. Big Noid gives the most heartfelt verse on Streets Raise Me. He's kind of the glue for that song, because he's talking about someone he lost. I can't believe you gone. It's what we gonna do in your memory. Where Havoc is just kind of just rapping his regular rap. So the guests really help raise the bar for this album. So we take Lil' Kim, one of her best verses in her entire career. The UNO competitor, I'm steps ahead of you. I'm a leader. Y'all some following shit. I'm up in the game or some like, yeah, it's great. She's not saying nothing crazy, but it's how smoothly each line is crafted after the other.
Perfect verse for her.
Yes.
Perfect.
Even the spelling, you know, by this time spelling in rap is played out, but the fact that she's like,
BB.
Yeah, it's the U with the MO, BB. Queensbridge, Brooklyn, and we DEEP. Like, it's, yeah, like, y'all wish y'all lived the life we live. Hey, yo, Prodigy, tell her what it is. Then she adds the done.
yeah.
To show you that it's like a Queens and Brooklyn love connection.
She just swagged that track. She swagged that.
Sometimes swag is all you need, but it's like them words. She did what Havoc and Prodigy couldn't do on that track. She rode the beat. She rode the beat.
That's a fact.
She rode the beat. If they would have placed her anywhere else in the song, it would have had a different feel. Her coming right in the middle, bouncing on that bass line. Hot damn ho, here we go again. Every bar lands with a snare comes in. So like, yeah. So let's talk about Kool G Rap. The quotable, the amount of syllables this man put into his verse is a masterclass in how to do it. If you're gonna rap wordy, if you're gonna rap killer, you want to be Kool G Rap level.
Crazy, breath control, ridiculous. He was in his bag, bro.
When he says the human organism lifter, you'll be hearing organs if you have to
force hit you with a Lord split you. He was going crazy. He was going crazy on that.
Even the descriptions that they're using for the hook, because they're all saying something different, right? For bootleg liquor on a Sunday night.
Your man's not snitching when the pressure is tight.
Right. For police to catch, letting niggas slide, like it's
yeah.
It's all you needed for a hook.
It was one of the ones right there.
It really was.
One of the ones.
They didn't have to do too much. I give Prodigy his props for it. He rose to the occasion on that, right? Never prejudge or be the done it. Or even the way he ended it. He ended his abrupt too, but something about that is on your mind, kid. Like, you can't be mad. You can't be mad. Illustrious is where he shines the most. Spread Love is where he shines the most. Because even the hook, Spread Love, like, because death hurts whole families. Imagine it's your mom's that grieves. The threatening lines in place of punchlines or any other clever metaphors, the threatening lines are where they put probably the most effort. It's like, how many ways can I bully you? I would feel the same way as you if I was beefing with someone such as myself. Like, The
I couldn't even
audacity.
sleep at night.
I couldn't even sleep
I had
at
to
night.
make things right. Pull out gun, exchange, fight.
Right. Now you feel weird coming out your crib. Like,
Yo, I used to listen to them so much, like I forgot about all that other technical shit, to be honest with you.
yeah.
I listened to them a lot. And then I started listening to Beanie and them, Beanie Siegel and them. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I remember this. Yeah. This is different.
They raised the bar.
This is different.
Yeah, I feel like Pusha T and them still kind of operate on Mobb Deep's level. Like they don't be having like lines like that. It's just like people like them because they feel like I'm doubling down on this dark stuff so much. You gotta believe me. So
Right.
all right, what you giving this for wordplay and bar intent on a scale from 1 to 5?
They always high on bar intent for me, because of what you go there for, and what you listen to them for, like, and what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, they are always on point with bar intent. As far as wordplay goes, that's a different story. So
Right.
if I gotta average those out, I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Fair enough. That takes us to dimension 6. The overall quotability is how the punchlines of poetic wisdom is what I find most rappers fall into. Like they're getting quoted, it's usually because they're one of the other kind, or the rare mutant who could do both. I think Jay could do both. I think Eminem could do both, but it's rare. Punchline rappers like Big Daddy Kane, Big L. Poetic wisdom rappers are Nipsey, Scarface, Tupac. They're saying things that you could put on a t-shirt. They're saying just life things. Like they got money for war but can't feed the poor. They're not doing all these clever tricks, but it's like, oh damn, that's a deep line. So I think if I had to throw them in a bag, I think they lean more towards poetic wisdom, because some of the stuff that they say about the gritty lifestyle and the violence that they want to inflict is poetic. Like
it is. No, I agree with you. It's definitely more poetic than punchliney, and that goes back to what I was saying. Like Beanie Siegel and them, they more punchliney to me.
Yes.
You know, I was so in the poetic lane, the Queensbridge, Nas, and all of them. I was in that lane for a minute.
Yeah, so just lines like this. Where your heart at? I left mine behind with my dearly departed. Shrimps missing. To take losses is the hardest. The ones that overcome be the calmest. Strive regardless. Where your heart at? Brave-hearted. Now let's find out when niggas are. It's like, it sums them up perfectly. It's like, here's why I got pain, but are you ready to feel the pain? Because I don't think you've been through the pain I've been through.
Exactly.
That's
It's
this.
fire. That's poetic, just like you saying.
That's poetic. But they're able to do punchlines. So when I think about Illustrious, Prodigy's in his bag, right? He's like, y'all little league niggas in softball that might be spend too much time with wifey. Come and play with the hard-headed.
Yeah. And then he goes to a whole different rhyme pattern.
Right, a whole different rhyme pattern. But there's certain verses on every album where you could tell Prodigy wanted to rap. When I think of Hell on Earth, remember when he comes back? He said, I tell you what, Black, you try to come for me, you take these missiles along with that. I ain't your regular cat. Sometimes I test myself to see if I still got it. Like, he was just going off on that. Give Up the Goods on the first album. That's another one where he's like, let me come back.
Ain't it like 4 verses on that or something?
Exactly. So this Illustrious is one of them songs where he's like, nah, I really want to rap on this. And then just the slam dance to it. It's rock and roll for the black people. That got sampled by like 2 different albums that same year. Mos Def used it on his song about rock and roll, and then Common Sense used it on his lead single for The Sixth Sense. This is rap for real, something you feel, you know. So I mean, they're quoted from this album. It's memorable lines, even if they're not doing the craziest gymnastics lyrically. Because of the description, they're giving you something to take home. The way they say things matters. But this album is mostly quoted for the guests. Again, Kool G Rap, he also fulfills some of that punchline element, right? Bullets ain't racial, kid, they only hate you. Pray to Jesus to slash your facial, like that whole sequence. I'm gonna put.
Man, it's crazy, bro.
I'm gonna put G-Rap's whole verse.
This is out of his prime. Like, this ain't the prime.
Yes.
This is years later, bro.
This is years later. He said he was in between albums, in between labels, probably reeling from Superhead leaving him. Like,
You know?
like
This is years later, bro.
years like I love when the old OGs can come back and hang or outshine, and in this case he absolutely outshined.
Right.
So yeah, that's where you're gonna get your punchlines, but they're never lacking on the poetic wisdom. Like even when Havoc is talking misogynistic about women, he's making a point. He even has a punchline.
You killing me with the misogynist.
Yeah, because there are some rappers that define that. It's like, I know they use that word for everybody, but
Right.
some rappers really sound like they don't like women. Like Havoc. Havoc is one of them. Like Havoc says a crazy line on the song with 8-Ball, "Where you from?" He's like, "F that whore," even though she give me stiff like the parole board or something like that. Harder than the parole board. It's just like, yo, man, you didn't have to go so hard on the women. But there's poetic value in what he's saying about knowing what's up with a woman before you get involved with her, and do it if you read into that. Like if you really like,
yeah, if you
want to
listen,
take.
he's basically saying a lot of shit that he's talking about the dirty chicks that do you foul. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely talking about that, and you could hear it in the music. You could tell like they been around chicks that set dudes up and all.
Yes. And it shaped their opinion of women.
Yeah, definitely.
I was actually surprised that he got away unscathed in this song. I was like, oh, it's just sex. That's it. All right, what we giving him for the overall quotability on the scale from 1 to 5?
Quotability, I'm gonna give it a 4, and I'm doing that based on the features.
Gotcha. Dimension 7, the concepts. Every classic rap album should have some conceptual material, something that makes you have to listen a little bit more than casually, and this is what separates the artist from just anybody who could rap. Do we have a concept song on here?
Where Your Heart At is probably it. And you know what? I'm not even going to downplay that because I really like that song. Like I really mess with that song. Like the hook and everything, it really puts you in a place where you want to see where they go with this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think Where Your Heart At more than Streets Raised Me or Let a Hoe Be a Hoe?
yes.
Okay.
Let a Hoe Be a Hoe is blah to me. Streets Raised Me is fire. I like that. But I like Where Your Heart At because it's like, he lost people. You know what I mean? Until you felt that pain, you can't even judge me. You can't even tell me nothing. You know what I mean?
The problem with that is I don't know if they like
If
stayed
he really
on
took
topic.
it there on the vocals, on the
Yeah,
verses.
I don't know if they stayed on topic. When I think of concepts, right? Every classic album, Nas got I Gave You Power, Eminem got Bonnie and Clyde, Tupac got Me and My Girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that here.
They don't have those, no.
Yeah.
No.
Even on the other albums, they had it. So it's missing that. Where Your Heart At, they try, but it's more just a topic than a concept. So they might have to lose some points for that. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Because if I could just go point to one song, then yeah. Because I mean, if you look at a lot of classic joints like Nas, you know, he got the shit where he talking to his mans in jail.
Yeah.
Like those are concept joints.
Yeah.
I don't really see that on here like that.
So it's like those are if you're making a classic album, you gotta have one of those. I believe. Like
I agree.
Yeah, 10 Crack Commandments, all of those things count because it's like, oh, you took a little extra time on this. You thought this
Meet
out.
the Parents by Jay-Z.
The Evils by Jay-Z, like
The
all
Evils.
of those things. Like,
Yeah.
That's what separates the pros. So yeah, Mobb is lacking here. You said
Damn,
that.
they getting a 2.5 on that? That's how we rolling?
Can't win them all, man. Can't win them all.
Can't win them all.
I'd like to hear y'all thoughts in the comments on this. All right, that takes us to the content dimensions. External content. How much are they talking about things outside of their life, outside of themselves? We talked about this already in category 1 a little bit. They're not your rappers that are rapping about the government, the ills of the hood. They do on here, they're talking about certain things. They talk about relationships and the streets raising them. So I think there's a little bit of external content. It's still dealing with them, but they, in like I said, in Prodigy's verse, he's talking about what's going on in the projects. In Big Noise verse, he's talking about someone he lost. And Where Your Heart At, they're talking about loss. So they're able to talk about external stuff, but I think you're probably going to get more internal content, Dimension 9, where it's like autobiography. So do you feel like you leave this album learning a little bit more about Havoc and Prodigy?
Nah. Nah.
I learned that Prodigy used to sniff coke. Well, I feel like I got some internal content.
I guess.
Yeah, I feel like
I didn't really learn anything from these guys on this, man. Like, this is a continuation. Like, to me, like, they albums are like continuations. You know, they may have gotten a little older, but that's about it, bro. Like, they talk about the same stuff, and I love it. You realize
through this whole review, the underlying point is that they got away with murder their whole career. Like, they literally don't do punchlines and lyrical gymnastics. They don't really make radio music, and they really ain't got no content. But for some reason, they've given us classic albums. Crazy.
I don't know how they did it, but it worked out that way.
But they got the voice, they got the beats, they got some of the illest beats of all time, some of the illest voices of all time, and they just
sonically they mastered it, man. Like, it's just pleasing to the ear. You know, if you in for that type of music, it's pleasing.
Yeah. So these would probably be low for you. What you giving the external and internal on a scale from 1 to 5?
That's low. That's like a 2.5. So.
Okay, for each of them. And in the last dimension 10, the storytelling. They say every good classic album needs a story.
Storytelling. Do I really have any stories on it? Because they got some albums with some good storytelling. This one, I don't know. I don't. Nothing stands out to me as far as storytelling.
Yeah, Let a Hoe Be a Hoe is the closest to a story on here that tries to go from beginning to end. I don't know if that's the strong story. Where you putting it on a scale from 1 to 5?
That's probably the lowest. I'm probably giving that a 1.
Got you.
But I don't even remember a story on this. You know what I mean? The Hoe Gonna Be a Hoe, that's the only one, but it doesn't stick with me.
Yeah, and they've done better stories. They're able to do stories. So on that note, that concludes our Category 2 review of the classic album by Mobb Deep, Murda Music, which is now 25 years old. I gotta thank my cuz, Silenca Ambition. Yo, Mel, thank you for joining, bro. This was fun, man.
Thanks for having me, man. We gotta do some more, man.
I know you're not a public figure anymore, but you got anything cooking that you want to let the people know about, or where they can find you, or not?
I ain't even on it like that no more, man. I'm chilling. Hopefully I'll be on here. You know what I mean? Rocking with you whenever.
Yeah, I'll bring you. Yo, let me know a couple albums you want to do. You can come back anytime, man. I love this dialogue, and you get it. You understand. So it's like we're able to work through the dimension smoothly. All right,
man. Appreciate you, man.
Till then, F a rap critic. They talk about it while I live it. Word to meth.